Hi. How is everyone? I wanted to kind of talk to you real quick about the Batman and my thoughts. And really not, I mean, I'm might have a few spoilers here and there, but I'm not going to really delve into really all the plot. I'm going to talk about each character. Hi, Justin. How are you? That I felt was important to the in the film and my overall feelings about each character. It's kind of the more of the approach that I'm going with this because this is just me giving my thoughts, willy nilly by my, free forming it. So if you haven't had a chance to see the Batman, it's not it maybe light spoilers, but I'm not going to get into a lot of that because a lot of people haven't seen it, and I want to give everybody a chance to really see the film and experience it before I get into specific things that I really didn't like about the movie. So other than that, I'm just going to give you my thoughts really about each character in the movie, what I thought of them, and maybe a little tidbit here about each one of those characters, right? So that's what we're going to do. And first up, I'm going to start with Jim Gordon, played by Jeffrey Wright. So Jeffrey Wright plays Jim Gordon. He's not Commissioner Gordon yet here in this film, and you basically understand that he's really kind of like the heart of the film in the sense that he is the good guy here. He is fighting for justice and trying to make sure that the bad guys pay. I think Jeffrey Wright did a good job in the role. I feel like sometimes I feel like his accent, because I feel like he was trying to downplay his own powerful, booming voice at times, and the voice that he was using for Jim kind of like threw me off a bit because I know what Jeffrey Wright sounds like. And when I see Jeffrey Wright in a role, I like for that voice to come out. And I would have been really interested to see, him with that, gruff, voice that he uses with Jim Gordon. I liked his relationship with Batman. I felt like that they worked well together. I felt like that the two of them really only had each other in this film. That I will say that it felt like that they didn't have anyone else, that they really couldn't believe anything else that anybody was telling them, that they kind of were like, trusting each other. He was kind of like his sidekick here in this movie, a lot. And we got to see that dynamic. We got to see them have a few moments where they set things up to make things look like, maybe they were against each other. So overall, I feel like Jeffrey Wright did a good job playing Jim Gordon. I'm excited to see him in the next film and watch his role expand. Right now, I would just put Gary Oldman over him just because I felt like we saw more of him in past films. And so that's the only comparison. I'm not going to really make comparisons to other Batman films just because I feel like that this alone is something completely different. It's when I think about just from a film aspect, I do enjoy Batman Begins and Dark Knight more, but this film is nothing like those movies. And it's almost weird to compare them because the story is very different. So that I do want to add that. Next, I'm going to go with Falcone. I felt that he had the look. Hi, Ssj-Kdot. Hi, Brell. And I feel like when he originally got cast, I was like, oh, he looks the part more than anyone has before, really. Like, he has that look. Like, when I think of Falcone, I think, he is meant to play this role. And he was very menacing, but it was like, not like in a powerful, strong, I mean, he was powerful and strong, but in a very quiet way. He moves in a very like menacing way, but he was very quiet about it. Assured, confident in his ability to strike fear in people, and he didn't have to be loud about it. He was very eerily calm at times, and he spoke very calmly and softly, but very fearful. And in this picture, you can see this moment I liked quite a bit, because you felt when Falcone is talking to Bruce here about his father. I think that it was still chilling and slightly threatening in that moment, even though he's kind of like, remember when type story. But you find out later down the road that it wasn't such a glorious relationship between him and Thomas Wayne. And I felt that he did a good job with Falcone. I think that he, again, did the best job that anyone has, really done before that I've seen. I think that he is the best. I like the look. I love everything about it. Like even here, just the sunglasses. He's just so cool and chillingly calm in this role. So great. Really, really enjoyed it. Next, let's go to the Penguin. Colin Farrell's Penguin. Like everyone says, unrecognizable in the role. Really unrecognizable here in this role. Very scummy, you could tell he's not the head guy. He's, the second in command. But an opportunist at that, and just very cold. But I like his interactions with Batman. I like, when he was like, yeah, I don't know anything about it. I just run a nightclub here. I don't have any clue. I'm excited to see Colin Farrell's Penguin show, to see what else he does with the character. Other than really just, his performance and the look and his accent and the mannerisms. He didn't really have a lot going on and a lot to do. But he played the character part, like that character role in this movie. Kind of, I felt very well. And I was really impressed by what he did in the movie. So next we're going to be talking about, let's go to Alfred. Yeah, let's talk about Alfred. I think that will be a good spot to go to next. Farrell says Colin Farrell's Penguin is tight. Yeah, he's really tight. I really liked him, but like I said, he didn't really, he was just in a character role. He didn't really do a whole lot, but what he did, I felt like was really interesting, and I'm excited to see more of him in the future. And I'm curious, maybe Dot or some DC person can tell me, is he going to be coming back for, Reeves' future Batman films, or is he just going to be solely in that television show? Curious. I would like to see him back on the big screen. I'm excited to see the television show and to see him, developed as a character, and to see, now that Falcone's gone, him like ruling this crime family, and to see where he takes it. So like I said, I'm very excited for that. So let's go to Alfred next. You all ready to check out Mr. Alfred? And what did y'all think of Alfred while I pull up the image? Were you all, I know some people thought that he didn't, do a whole lot, or, but he really wasn't in the film a whole lot either, right? But I like this version of Alfred. I liked that he, in that moment when, this is a slight spoiler, when he's having that conversation with Bruce, and Bruce is like, "You're not my father," and he's like, "I'm well aware of that," right? And I feel like he sees where Bruce is, and the things that he taught Bruce. I think even in that moment, I feel like he felt like he maybe possibly let him down. And he wants to carry on Thomas's legacy, and he fights against people and says, Thomas was a good man, other than that, I'm not going to get into too much of that conversation and what happens in the movie. But I think that he has, good moments with Bruce. And I feel we don't see Bruce a lot. But when we do, we see him with Alfred. And I think that Andy Serkis helps Robert Pattinson's Bruce Banner. I was going to say, I said Bruce Banner. Listen to me. Excuse me. Bruce Wayne in the movie quite a bit, make him more enjoyable. I think I like Robert Pattinson's Bruce Wayne. I know a lot of people were concerned with what is this Bruce Wayne going to be like. He was mainly a Batman movie. But those moments where we see Bruce Wayne, I think, are absolutely phenomenal. And when you add Andy Serkis in those moments, his Alfred in those moments, I feel like they're powerful and they have more weight. I just really wish we had a few more scenes with Andy Serkis' Alfred, because I think there's certain things that are alluded to in the movie and things that you find out that if we could have had like a flashback moment where we've seen these moments, or a connection, then maybe it would have flushed out Andy Serkis as Alfred a lot more. But I really thought he did a great job in the movie. Yes, the lines are blurred between Batman and Bruce in this movie, which makes sense. Absolutely, because because he's only functioning in one way, in this vengeful revenge type of narrative. And by the end of the film, he starts learning that lesson, right? And I think that those little seeds that are being put out there about from Alfred will really, Bruce will take them to heart in the second film. We'll see him try to keep up appearances a little bit more, because Alfred tells him, if you don't attend this meeting, you're going to be found out rather quickly. It's like you've got to keep up this appearance. And I think that Alfred kind of sticking with him about that is really going to evolve into this Bruce Wayne that might be a playboy, or he might be more just like a social. It might not be like the playboy route, but just like a social person that's out there being seen at events, and maybe even involved in Wayne Enterprises. And I think that that's going to be a lot because of things that Alfred had told him in the Batman. So I think that Andy Serkis did a really good job here in this film. Okay. So next, let's talk about, because at first I was a little concerned, not because I think Zoe Kravitz is a bad actress, right? I just haven't seen her in a lot of things for me that I felt like that she was memorable in. Like, so I will say, here, I was very surprised. I enjoyed what she did in the movie. I thought that she, again, I thought that she was going to be in it a lot more than she was, but granted, she was there quite a bit. I liked how she came into the movie. It made sense, while she was, breaking into a home, and, what she was stealing and why she was stealing it. And then later, how she gets involved in, Penguin's nightlife. I thought that all of that made so much sense. I'm glad that I really like what they did with Catwoman. Because yes, as much as you hear me talk about how I love Michelle Pfeiffer, and I really do, there are silly things in that movie, and some of it is a bit, on another level. It's like grand. It's too much. It's too big. And Zoe Kravitz is Catwoman. She's more realistic, obviously, and everything that she does in this movie, to me, it's like, oh, I can see why she's doing this, why she did that. And just overall, to me, this is the best thing that I've seen her in, and she looks the part. I know a lot of people gave her gave it a hard time, because of her hat and the cutout and her face. But I thought that it worked, and like the little ears that it kind of had on it, they have a hat kind of like was formed and looked like it had two little ears there. I think that she did a great job. I think that this type of mask for her character, someone who is making do with what she has to create a mask for Catwoman is cool, and it's believable that in this world that would be her Catwoman mask. A lot of people gave it a hard time, but everything else, her boots, I think it all looked great. And she did a really good job in like the physicality. She was believable in her fight sequences, her motivations, why she was involved in this story, because you could see that Selena cared about people, right? And she cared about someone in this movie based off her own trauma and things, and why she's an orphan and things that had happened to her, in her own family as a child. So I really, really liked her, and I felt like she was very believable. Like this woman could exist. I loved the nails. I loved the look. I loved it all. I love it said, I love that Batman had his priorities straight, not moping around because Rachel rejected him. Yeah. And he even kind of pushed back with, Selena a bit, didn't he? But we'll get into the whole did they or did they not have chemistry moment here in a minute. Because next, of course, we got to talk about the man of the hour, right? The lead in this movie, Mr. Robert Pattinson himself. And I know a lot of people going into this, gave him a hard time based off Twilight, right? Which isn't fair. He did those movies, over a decade ago. He was younger then. I think he's proved himself in his acting ability in recent years. And to be like, my Batman doesn't sparkle just because he played a part as a vampire. I think that was a little bit much. And for me, why does this movie succeed for me? What puts this movie over the top? It's Robert Pattinson. He is chilling at times. You see the trauma, just the way he looks at people. I know you all, I don't know if you all seen the trailer, but the moment when he looks at the little boy at that funeral, it's just moments like that. Again, slightly different than Falcone because he's the lead and he had a bigger role. But in those quiet moments when he's saying nothing and he's just looking and he's observing, the acting that is shown on his face and throughout his whole body in this movie. Wow. Robert Pattinson outshines any interpretation of Batman that I've seen. From an acting standpoint, from a portrayal standpoint. I love the fact that he was a detective in this movie. I didn't have issues. I know some people said they felt like, they could have cut out a few scenes here and there in the beginning of the movie, in the first 2 hours, certain moments lagged on to. I loved every bit of, I loved all those moments. I loved seeing the technology used in this film, which was smart and it made sense in how it helps him. And watching him observe things and notice things in this, as Batman, in solving things and in getting things solved before the police could. Truly the greatest detective, and he was so smart. And I was like, and I like that it wasn't just like, I'm Bruce Wayne, I'm ultra rich and I can fight good and I have girls on my arm. I liked that he was a complex character. I liked that he was tormented by his past, that he was, trying to deal with it the best way he can. And he felt that by putting on this mask and going out there and fighting the bad guys, as you would say it, that he was carrying on his father's legacy. And then, he learns in the end a very valuable lesson too, which I find a very touching moment. Because I had issues with the third act, but the way that it ended, in that moment when he realized, I've got to do something different. Maybe that's why I'm not succeeding as the Batman, because you feel that he feels like he's not succeeding. And I think that in that moment where it clicks in his head and he makes a decision to go in an opposite direction, that this will be when he starts to succeed as the Batman, and he will no longer be vengeance, right? He'll be a symbol of something else. And it also, I think that in turn, that'll help heal Bruce and that darkness that lays within Bruce. I mean, Bruce is always going to have that darkness in him, but I don't feel like he'll be so tormented by that darkness. He's gonna embrace it moving forward. And I think that he did an amazing job. And unfortunate, there's a divide in the DC world. That I feel like if anybody is going to say that he was horrible in this movie or that he did a bad job, I think that you really need to think about what you're saying, because I don't think that most people would think that Pattinson is not a good Bruce Wayne and not a good Batman. To me, he is the best Batman that we've seen. It's not my favorite Batman movie, but he is the best live action Batman that we've had. Even though his Bruce is barely in the movie, I love his Bruce Wayne. And I'm excited to see more of that Bruce Wayne. And in those little bitty moments, like I said, that where we did get his Bruce Wayne, I feel like they were more compelling than any other portrayal we've seen before. I'm telling you, Robert Pattinson did his thing, y'all. Like he did it. I'm telling you. Best Batman ever, right here, this man. So that's how I feel. Let's get into the last little topic that I want to, address from the film. And that's apparently the lack of, or the chemistry between Catwoman and, the Batman, which I felt the two of them had great chemistry between the two of them. They did have that moment where they kissed, but even at times when they would, look at each other, or, those long moments, I felt that those were more intense than the kiss. And I even liked when she makes the decision, that when she realizes something and she is getting ready to make a decision, and Bruce looks at her, and she causes a distraction, jumps out. And I thought that moment between the two of them, and then you could really tell that he cared, and he wanted to help her, and they also had that connection because they're orphans. That's the good thing, is a lot of these characters have something in common. The Riddler has something in common with them. Did I talk about Paul Dano? I don't think I did I? I got to go back and talk about him. How did I miss that one? So their chemistry here, I feel, is great. I'm concerned. Is she gone? Is she going to be in the next movie? I hope she's in the next movie. I hope that there's a reason for her to come back to Gotham, and we can see the two of them team up again. I really want to see that. Like, I think that if she's not in the next movie, I think that'll be a missed opportunity. because I would like to see the two of them back together in the movie. Really, what did you all think? Did you all think that they had chemistry? What were you all's thoughts? People in the chat. Still, for me, I can't grade this movie. I don't think I can grade it, but I think that it's not a masterpiece. It's not close to a masterpiece. I will say that too. But what I will say is it's one of the top movies I've seen. And I'm still trying to figure out where it lands in the bigger scheme of Batman movies. Justin said I enjoyed her portrayal. Farrell says yes. The twist was Chief's kiss. I'm not sure about the chemistry. I love food. Okay. I mean, and that's been some people's, I wonder if it's because they don't know, because she was calling her friend baby. I wonder if that's some of it, I don't know. But, she could, have a thing with Bruce and, had a thing with her friend, obviously. You never know. She might be spreading all the love around, So let's get into the Riddler. I don't know how I forgot that. I thought that I had went over that. That was going to be one of the first ones I did, guys. So I'm sorry. And let you know how I feel about him in this film. I think some people might not like completely my full take on him. So there's a Riddler. Yay. I love the opening scene. You get the Riddler in the opening of the movie. He is amazing. Selena. Thank you. I love food. I think they were just friends. Catwoman at one point called her just a kid. See, and that's what I thought. I felt like, she was just really good friends with her and was like, oh, baby, like, us females can do stuff like that, call our friends babe and hun, and none of it really means much of anything. So the Riddler, like I said, we get to see him from the opening of the film, basically. And I know a lot of people going into the movie, I was one of them. I hated this look. I thought, oh my gosh, I hate that mask. I hate the jacket. I hate it all. It doesn't look great, right? But in the Batman, in this world, I think the look is perfect. I love it for this version and in this film and for this world. I think it makes total sense that that's his look. I like it. And I think that when you see it in the film, in the way the green is, I think that it's not as jarring than when you look at it here in a picture. And then you understand that this is a different, world of Batman. For him to have some weird, shiny or top hat and like Zorro type looking mask or something, I don't think wouldn't fit. And that's me too, Braille. I liked the riddles. I liked when he was in the foreground. I liked when they showed him do a few things here and there. I liked that. And it was, to me, it was Zodiac, but to me, it was more like a jigsaw, but it was like a Zodiac and jigsaw thing put together. I liked him. I liked everything up until when you get to the climax with him. I think that some of the choices from an acting standpoint, like, let me see if I can explain. You can do crazy, deranged, delusional guy, right? Well, and then sometimes when you do it, it can come off cheesy and off-putting. Okay. And I think that in that scene there, some of those moments with him later on in the film, that was the vibe that I got. I felt that even though he was this crazy guy that was killing all these people, part of me did feel like when things are revealed with him, you do kind of feel sorry for him a bit. But then he kind of goes off the rails as the more is that situation is revealed with what's happening. That's all I'm gonna say, because I know some people haven't seen it. Going back, I do want to let's touch on a few things before. So I would say he's not my favorite character. He's not, like, to me, my favorite characters are Batman, obviously, Bruce Wayne. Selena Kyle is number 2. And Falcone or might be a third, or Penguin. It's like hard. But I do like Jim Gordon. I just think at times a little bit for me, it just seemed like he was what's the word I'm looking for? Just like playing a caricature. Like he was playing someone who was playing Jeffrey Gordon, playing Jim Gordon. I mean, Jeffrey Wright. I said Jeffrey. I can't get my names right. Somebody was acting like Jeffrey Wright, playing Jim Gordon. Right? Just at moments. And like I said, these are just mild criticisms that I have. Other movie, overall, it's hard for me to score it. But if I'm going to give this movie a score right now, and it can change because, like, sometimes when I watch a movie on the second viewing, my feelings change, right? The way I see it changes, like, because of rewatchability. Did I enjoy it as much as I did the first time around? So that's when, scores can fluctuate, because I think about the rewatchability factor. Once I'm on that rewatch, do I connect with it the same? Does it hold the same amount of weight that it did from the previous time that I watched it? So with that being said, I'm going to give this movie a score based off it the first time watching it. I think I would give it an 8. I think it's an 8 out of 10. I do have moments where I'm like, I was twisting my lips up, things that happened as, in the third act, but I didn't mind so much of the way some of the things were revealed, with them, telling us. I would have preferred if we could have seen them happen, but the way that some of them, the things that were revealed from the characters that were telling them, I think were quite interesting, and I was caught up in those moments, and they weren't boring, and I think that it made sense for the type of movie this is, that for those reveals to come from these characters the way they did. I wish that maybe we could have had a character reveal it, and maybe some, like little vignettes of it happening as the character was telling us. Because that's it. Because they did a very cool moment with something with Alfred and Batman, and with a flashback. And I think that they could have maybe done something like that, but a little bit different with some of the reveals. But if I'm going, like I said, if I'm going to give this movie a score, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Just because overall I enjoyed the movie. I think the acting performances were top notch. I think that the story flowed very well. The chemistry between most of the cast, the connections with the characters. I loved Falcone and Penguin's relationship. Um, Selena and Bruce's relationship. Jim and Batman's relationship. There were so many different relationships within this movie, and they all worked. And they worked because of the script. They worked because of the performances. And visually, like I heard another complaint that this film is so dark, and do they not believe in light bulbs? In Gotham. Um, I liked that it was dark, but I also liked the use of the red and the colors and that they use in the warm yellows at times and in the blues. So I think that yes, it was dark, but the use of color was amazing. Like I loved every moment when you see Batman standing up there on that ledge in that beautiful orange behind him, and you see that cape and just this it's visually beautiful. Okay. So this movie is an 8 out of 10 for me. And I did have a few issues with the Riddler, and like I said, maybe it's a hot take, but maybe he's the weakest part of the movie. And that's not saying a lot, because that's not a bad thing either when I'm saying that, because I feel like everybody else was so strong. Maybe it could be because he's like the villain, but to me, he might be the weakest. I loved all the riddles and everything leading up, but it was some of the things at the end with him that kind of like took him down for me. And I don't feel like I had any of those moments with any of the other characters in the movie. So that's why he would be my least favorite, not because he's horrible or because it doesn't work or anything like that, just because I feel like I didn't have a moment where it kind of took me out of it with any other character. And just in like one moment with him, like it kind of took me out of it a bit. Justin says it would make sense he'd be a dark character. I like this character study approach to Batman. Me too. The Batman is the 4th best Batman movie. I'm not. So I would say it's either number 3 or 4 for me. But I don't want to rank them yet because like I really need to think about it more. Like, I gave you a score, and Miss Indecisive me, who can't make decisions to save her life, made one. So hopefully I stick with that for now. Let's see. And Gotham was a character for once. Matt Reeves did a great job making the city feel alive. Yeah, I agree. But I think that Nolan did a good job of that. But I think that his take on the city was different. A lot different. So that is going to be everything I have to say about the Batman, right? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't. I know most of you have that are here. Share, 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 like I always say. I appreciate you all watching me talk about the Batman. And I want you all to have a blessed and lovely day. Remember, you're amazing, amazingly amazing, amazing. And I'm your girl, Ashley. You know what? I'm about to be up out of here. Have a wonderful day. Bye.